Unsportsmanlike, presented by Progressive Insurance. Cars, homes, boats, motorcycles, RVs, and more. Progressive.com, along with Michelle Smallman, Evan Cohen, and the aforementioned Chris Canty. Now, with Upon Further Review.
All right, we got a lot to get to in the world of sports, but before we do, I just want to throw one thing out there in my Upon Further Review. The people that are out there that said traveling with a newborn is easier than traveling with toddlers, you lie like a rug.
Ooh.
You're wrong. You lied to me. Just because the kid is chill on the flight doesn't mean tripping with a newborn is easy, especially if you're going halfway around the world and there's a 13-hour time difference. My son, in the first 3 days in Japan, thought day was night and night is day, which means it was hell for me and his mom at nighttime trying to settle him and get him to go to sleep.
Yes.
And I just want to put it out there, the people that told us that traveling with a newborn was easier than traveling with a toddler or other small children, you lie. The truth is not in you. And I hope all the bad things in life happen to you and nobody else.
Lies, lies, and more
Truth is
lies.
not in there.
Yeah, truth is not in there. All right. Speaking of truth, time for some hard truths for the Philadelphia 76ers.
Ooh.
The Sixers need to begin the process of moving on from Joel Embiid. Trust the process has led to a decade of good, but not quite good enough due to roster building and health issues. It's clear that Philly needs to break the cycle. 8 playoff appearances in Embiid's 10 seasons, no conference finals appearances, 6 second-round exits, and has missed games in 4 of the last 5 postseasons. Embiid is the only MVP in league history that hasn't made a conference finals appearance. Sunday marked the 3rd time the Sixers were swept in a best-of-7 playoff series. 2 of those instances have come this decade. The Knicks were plus 89 in 4 games in the series against Philly, which included a historic closeout game where the New York Knicks scored a franchise postseason record 144 points and tied an NBA record of 25 three-point makes in a playoff game. The perfunctory, quote, "we just got to get better," end quote, after being embarrassed on Sunday in a closeout game on your home court ain't good enough from the quote-unquote star player of a team that expects to contend for titles. And if we're being honest, we all saw this coming when said star player attempted to call out his own fans about selling their tickets to Knicks fans. Newsflash, Joel, if your team's fans believe that they can contend for a championship, then they'll show up. You don't have to worry about them selling the tickets. The tenor from Embiid, his lack of production, worst defensive rating in any starter in the Knicks series, it hasn't been championship caliber. Now, what comes next is complicated. Philly owes the 32-year-old $187 million over the next 3 seasons, so it's hard to imagine finding any takers for that contract via trade. But the 2 timelines, age-wise, with the 4-star players in Philly clearly isn't working. A message needs to be sent, and there's no stronger message than scrapping the process and starting anew, building around 25-year-old Tyrese Maxey and 20-year-old VJ Edgecombe, because it can't truly be their team with Embiid still on the roster.
100% agree with you. The losing has, as small as I said, infected the entire franchise, the trust, the process. I don't like presenting a problem without a solution. Let me give a solution. There's 3 options with Embiid, or 3 to 4 options with Embiid. Keeping him as is, trading him, and you're going to trade him for 10 cents on the dollar, not even 50 cents on the dollar, or you're going to have to pay somebody off to take him. Give a first-round pick, second-round pick, whatever, multiple first-round picks. But my solution to the problem is this. You have the guy that you would dream of having to run a franchise. And Bob Myers, a former executive with the Golden State Warriors, he needs to re-interview every single employee with that organization. Every single person needs to be re-interviewed for the job that they have. And if he doesn't want them on the team, then they're not on the team. He needs to bless everyone with, yep, I like Chris Canty. Chris Canty is here even though I didn't hire him in the first place. Michelle Smallman, I like. She's still here. Evan Cohen, I don't like him. He's out. Right? That's what needs to happen. He doesn't have to be the general manager. The organization just has to be Bob Myers approved, not Daryl Morey approved.
You also have to purge the organization from anything process related. Like,
that's Morey.
No, but I'm just saying, whether it's members of the team involved in it, branding, I don't want to hear trust the process ever again.
Bravo.
We are scrubbing this organization clean of that. It did not work. We gave it a very long runway to work, but now we have to cut bait and we have to move on.
So Embiid doesn't make sense for any of the teams in the Eastern Conference that I looked at as true contenders. Is there a team out west where Embiid makes some sense?
Sacramento. team with here's.
So you're saying he's not going. So you're saying there's no contender out there in the NBA that would take it.
No, not a contender. There's teams that hope to be contenders that if they strike out on everything else, maybe they look towards him on 10 cents on the dollar. But I think if you look at him as a marketing plan, he makes sense. I hate to say what I just said.
So you're basically saying he has to be jettisoned to Basketball Siberia.
But what's the marketing plan?
You get excited at the concept of having an MVP on your team.
Hey, come see this guy. The handful of games he's going to play. The organization that built around him cast him aside, but buy a ticket.
Know what? Smalls, I'm going to defend him.
I hate to say that about Joel Embiid because he's a very talented player who's unfortunately dealt with a lot of things outside of his own control. But I don't. No offense, if I'm another fan base, am I buying a ticket to see Joel Embiid?
Yeah, I'm gonna defend him in this regard. I'm gonna guess, Cece, when you played for the Giants at the peak, you had friends that played for the Jets, and they probably said to you, "Wait, it can be like that? I didn't know it could be like that." I don't know that Embiid knows what it could be like. The only thing he knows is the process. He could go, if you plopped him with Oklahoma City today and you said you're actually not allowed to play, you just are allowed to show up to practice at the way they go about things, I promise you he would say, I didn't know it could be like that.
If he was with the Golden State Warriors?
I didn't know it could be like that. But he is. Let Bob Myers run the damn team. And if, by the way, if he says no and he already works there, throw him extra money to do it for a month. You just need him for the month of July. Jeez.
Moving along.
Number 2.
Yeah, that's what it felt like watching my Lakers this weekend. They were doing that on the court. Yeah, Lakers on the verge of being swept by Oklahoma City. It would be only the 4th time in LeBron James's career where he's been blanked in the win column in a playoff series. What's become clear is that the regular season record is not reflective of the team's proximity to a championship. This postseason is just the latest data point that should lead everyone to the same conclusion. As constituted, the Lakers aren't good enough to win a title. The churn at head coach over the last half dozen years hasn't seemed to change the results much. Say what you want about Darvin Ham, but in his 2 seasons, he got to a Final Four, won more playoff series, and has twice as many playoff wins as J.J. Redick. No disrespect to J.J., but as good as he is, it's not good enough to overcome a fatally flawed roster. You can't win a championship, especially in the West, if 3 of your top 5 scorers are liabilities on defense. You can't win a title if your most reliable star post-All-Star break is 41 years old. Something's got to give. Trade Reeves or let Bron walk should be options that are on the table this offseason. Not sure where this regime will land with decisions about the roster, but a major move has to happen to capitalize on prime Luka Doncic.
I did not see the J.J. Darvin Ham angle coming. That's interesting. Because I think that J.J.'s done a phenomenal job, but you're right, numerically, you've got to go Darvin over J.J. Now, that was a better version of LeBron, but it doesn't matter. And they had AD, but this team obviously shorthanded right now. Here's the problem I have with Game 3. End of Game 3, that team looked dunzo. Mentally, physically.
They knew they couldn't compete with OKC.
And JJ,
it's been a long goodbye.
Yeah, JJ looks disgusted with some of the players on the team. I don't want to name DeAndre Ayton by name, but he just looks.
Has there been a coach that has had DeAndre Ayton that hasn't had that look that JJ had?
I feel badly saying
Has there been aside from Sean Miller in Arizona, has there been a coach since DeAndre Ayton has gotten to the NBA that hasn't had that same look that JJ Redick has had?
In some ways, it is a compliment because it's like, I know what you could do if you just do what you sometimes do. And that's probably the most frustrating thing for a coach. And
he has the top, wasn't Ayton and Luka, weren't they the top 3?
Yeah, Marvin Bagley in between them.
Yeah.
People don't bring up the second pick in the draft.
Top 3 picks in that draft?
Yeah, the second pick also, Marvin Bagley the 3rd. Anyway, I think obviously the Lakers are done. It's just whether or not it's 4 or 5 at this point. Shame on me for picking 6. Terrible pick. You want bad predictions?
Hold on, you think this is going 5 games?
No, I don't actually.
Oh, okay. I was about to say.
I'm saying this is over
tonight.
It's not going to go more than 5.
What are you talking about?
It's a wrap.
This is a wrap, dog.
Do you think, Smalls, it's LeBron's last game for the Lakers tonight?
No, I don't.
Okay.
I don't think it is.
Do you think it's Reeves' last game for the Lakers?
Perhaps. Now, listen, maybe I'm wrong with LeBron, but I have done the different machinations in my head about what his future could be, and I don't think that there's a better fit in a lot of different ways for LeBron than the Lakers, and I think he'll want to stay there, and I think he'll want to end his career there. Maybe I'm wrong, maybe it's Cleveland, but there's not many other options for him that really make sense based on the person and based on the player. I do wonder, though, if the way they were playing to end the season, and then unfortunately after Reeves and really Luka's injuries, if they're going to lean on that more than maybe they should, that sample size, and say, oh, maybe we should just run it back because of the way that they hit another gear. I don't think they should, but I'm wondering if that's playing in their heads.
Nah, that's fool's gold. You see what's going on in the Western Conference. You know you ain't close.
Yeah.
Nah. All right, last but not least.
Number 3.
The Wizards get rewarded for tanking with the first pick in the NBA draft lottery. John Wall helped Washington Dougie into the top spot in a year with a loaded draft class. 2 years removed from having the number 2 pick in the draft, they set themselves up for the best odds for the top pick by having an NBA worst 17-win season. But this ain't really about the Washington Wizards. It's about a draft system that incentivizes teams to play seasons of non-competitive basketball. The Utah Jazz were fined $500,000 this season for tanking after benching Lauri Markkanen and Jaren Jackson Jr. in the fourth quarter of games. Their penalty? A top 2 pick in a class where there's a debate around who should go number 1. I've said it before, I'll say it again. Completely flatten the lottery odds for teams outside of the top 6 in both conferences. Take away any carrot teams have for losing games. If the bottom 18 teams in the NBA standings have the same odds for every pick in the lottery, then teams will focus on player development and roster improvement rather than losing.
And that's why they made the changes, because that, like, we'll see what happens now moving forward since the changes have been made in terms of how we're going to see it. But this is maybe the last year of like the full-fledged tank like that for sure. Washington gets the number 1 pick. It is interesting. Will Utah maybe ante up a little bit to get number 1 and flip-flop with them? Because we know Utah, Ryan Smith, majority governor of the team, big BYU booster, NIL deal, AJ DeBansta. Do they want him to go number 1 overall potentially and get him instead of Darren Peterson? That's a juicy angle there. John Wall, I'm glad you brought up the Dougieing. Did he not know how to react? He didn't seem overly happy.
No, he didn't.
And I'm like, if I'm John Wall, I'm taking credit for that.
I'm Dougieing all over that stage.
Heck yeah.
Can I ask you a question? Do you feel like the 3-2-1 lottery system goes far enough in terms of flattening the odds for losing teams? Because
Yeah.
I don't think it goes
The
far
only
enough.
reason I think it could is because, like, Washington, I think, has been the worst team cumulatively in the NBA over the last 7 years. And there would be no upside multiple years in a row to trying to be, like, you have one shot at it. And if you're not good and you finish in the top 3 and you get in the top 3, then I'm going to get confusing here, but you can't then finish in the top 3 the next year. In other words, if they had the number 2 pick a couple of years ago with Sarr and then the number 1 now. Like, you can't do that in the new rules. So it would be like, all right, the AD and Trae Young trades, we would have to make those a year in advance.
But you could still plan on being bad to set yourself up in a year where there's a loaded class like this one. There's still a level of strategy around losing. And I think you have to take that away completely. I don't think it goes far enough. I just don't.
There are a lot of storylines with the lottery. Interestingly enough, none pertain to Giannis, because Miami and Oklahoma City and Golden State got picks where they were slotted. But the most interesting one is Kevin Pritchard, the general manager of the and team president of the Pacers, apologizing to fans.
Yeah,
which
they screwed up.
What? I don't know about. Like, it was odd that he did this, that he gave up the pick to the Clippers in a Zubac trade and came out with a big apology. Like, hey, we tried to tank and didn't work for us.
Yeah.
Sorry. But they had their best player hurt, so it wasn't a true tank.
Yeah, it wasn't an intentional
but you want to be able to capitalize on it, though.
Of course.
If you can talk about adding Keaton Wagler or Darius Akov to Tyrese Halliburton coming back.
Yeah.
I get it. You would feel a lot better.
I want Keaton to go to the Nets, okay? By the way, 118 losses over the past 2 years. You don't even get a top 5 pick in either season.
Yeah, they dropped to, what, 6?
6. Brutal for the Nets.
They deserve it. They deserve it.
No, they don't.
The Nets deserve it.
No, they don't.
They absolutely deserve it.
Soft launch over there?
Just saying, I was hoping for a higher pick.
You guys walking down the street, feet next to each other, you don't see the face, you and the Nets?
The streets
What's going on there?
Wow, the streets are talking. All the way in Tokyo, Smalls.
Wow,
the streets
Smalls.
are talking about you.
Soft launcher.
The streets are talking.
Well,
I've been flirting with the Nets. No big deal.
we may have a tag team match. Smalls and a mystery partner against Seth Rollins and Nuno. This brawl over Caleb Williams versus Jordan Love. How it's still going on, I don't know. We will continue this brawl next with Smalls and Nuno and Seth Rollins somehow involved. But I've said it. You know what, Philadelphia 76ers, you know what you did last year? You went to ZipRecruiter and said, we need somebody to run our business operations and our whole operation for multiple franchises.